In her search for true love, a young Muscovite named Anna Repkina ventured to the United States of America. Her heart was filled with dreams of a happy family life, but even in her worst nightmares, she could not have foreseen the terrible fate that awaited her in a foreign land. The morning message that arrived at the Clatsop County Police Department in Oregon on Monday, April 17, 2017, stirred the officers with alarm. A man walking in the woods with his dog had stumbled upon a gruesome discovery. In a remote part of the forest, rarely trodden by human feet, near the roadway lay the body of a young woman. The autopsy showed that death had occurred approximately 24 hours before the discovery. The victim was identified as 27-year-old Anna Repkina, whose life was cut short by a single shot to the head. Anna's life journey began in the Russian Federation, where she grew up in a well-to-do family with strong moral principles. In the last years of her life, the girl worked in the Moscow office of the international company IKEA. Among her hobbies, pets, cats, and traveling to various parts of the world held a special place. For 7 years, Anna maintained a serious romantic relationship with a young man, but in 2016, their paths diverged. It was then that the girl turned to the virtual space of dating sites in the hope of finding her soulmate. Her soul longed for attention, warmth, and the creation of her own family with children. Fate brought Anna together with a United States citizen, William Hargrove, via the internet. The 26-year-old American lived in the state of Oregon. Their acquaintance took place on the popular Russian social platform VKontakte. From the first days of communication, Will demonstrated exceptional gallantry towards Anna, even sending her bouquets of flowers. Their daily communication unfolded on the pages of Facebook, as well as through regular video calls, which became an almost daily ritual. Gradually, Will and Anna discovered common interests and hobbies. Their musical preferences coincided, both were fans of rock music, enthusiastically attending concerts, and passionately discussing various bands and solo artists. Anna regularly shared humorous images with Will, demonstrating her developed taste for jokes. In their letters, the couple discussed in detail the prospects of a shared future, including plans for their first in-person meeting. Anna insisted that their date should take place in an atmospheric, romantically inclined setting. Will vividly replied, "Just imagine the picture, trees in snowy attire, a snow-white glade, a cozy tent, the bright flames of a large bonfire, and you in my warm embrace." Will's personality was distinguished by a cheerful disposition and natural charisma. He easily found common ground with those around him, adoring lively conversations and entertainment in the company of interlocutors. By profession, the man was an auto mechanic at a local dealership. Every Sunday, he traditionally gathered with his circle of friends. They spent time playing pool, singing karaoke, dancing, creating an atmosphere of carefree fun in a noisy company. In conversations with his buddies, Will often mentioned his military service, particularly the time spent in the ranks of the Marine Corps. He told his friends that his service took place in Russia, and he emphasized his long-standing fondness for that country. Meeting the Muscovite Anna Repkina gave him sincere pleasure. Will invited the girl to visit him in the city of Portland to spend the winter holidays together and welcomed the arrival of 2017. In December 2016, Anna flew to America with the purpose of meeting Will in person and staying with him for 2 weeks. When purchasing a plane ticket to Portland, the girl made a geographical mistake. It turned out that she had arrived in the state of Maine, where there is also a city with the same name. Meanwhile, Will lived in the state of Oregon. Anna had to spend extra time solving transportation issues. Was this not a warning sign of fate? While the girl was figuring out the correct route, Will did not stop sending her messages. "My dear little angel, now I understand your true purpose. Your place is among the heavenly heights. You are truly my heavenly messenger. I am even ready to make you an official proposal." Eventually, Repkina did reach the correct Portland. Will greeted her with warm hugs and a passionate kiss. Thus began their fiery romance. The couple in love did not part for a minute. Will organized excursions to the most beautiful places in the region, showed Anna the wonders of the local nature and ocean views, and together they celebrated the arrival of the new year 2017. Will also introduced Repkina to his circle of friends. After 10 days of blissful stay, it was time for Anna to return to Russia. Will solemnly presented her with an engagement ring and gave his word that their wedding would take place soon. Anna gladly accepted the proposal. Of course, I agree. Upon returning to Moscow, she proudly informed all her acquaintances about her fiancé status and plans to move to America. Repkina actively engaged in selecting a wedding dress. She thought through every detail of the future celebration with particular care. Anna did not yet suspect that the engagement ring Will had given her actually belonged to a completely different woman. 33-year-old Michelle Chavez was married and raising 2 children. Her married life had lost its former passion and turned into a monotonous routine. According to Michelle, in recent years, she and her husband had existed more as roommates than as a couple in love. They shared a bed but barely maintained a dialogue between them. Michelle made a living working as a taxi driver. In the summer of 2015, while sitting in a bar waiting for a work call, the woman met a man who approached her himself. The first glance at the stranger made Michelle think, "Lord, how short he is, and his head is bald." This man turned out to be Will Hargrove. However, within a few minutes of conversation, he completely captivated Michelle with his charismatic personality and mastery of conversation. Will and Michelle gradually grew closer and began secret rendezvous. For the first time in a long period, the woman felt truly desired and needed. Will showed Michelle exceptional warmth, surrounding her with constant attention and care. From the beginning of 2016, their relationship moved to a qualitatively new level. Will rented a room directly in the Chavez family home. Michelle's husband did not even suspect that his wife's lover lived behind the wall of their bedroom. The monthly rent was $300. Will constantly convinced Michelle of the necessity of divorcing her husband. The woman postponed this decision each time, but one day she handed Will her own wedding ring and promised to file for divorce in the near future. Will was tormented by jealousy and envy. To distract himself from negative emotions, he browsed profiles on dating platforms in search of a new sweetheart. This is how he met Anna and invited her to America. Repkina spent a full 10 days in Michelle's house together with Will. Anna had no idea about the existence of another woman in her fiancé's life. Only a few months had passed since Repkina's return to Russia, and she appeared again at Michelle's residence. On March 1, 2017, Anna flew to America with a firm decision to marry Will. Michelle felt anger and directly told Will about her unwillingness for Anna to live in her home. A week later, Will and Anna rented separate housing and moved there. They began living together, just the two of them. Will did not stop his work at the auto repair shop. Anna focused on housekeeping. The girl got a membership at the nearest fitness center and regularly walked around the city, exploring new locations. Meanwhile, Will found himself in a state of complete confusion about further actions. His heart was torn between feelings for Michelle and Anna. The man could not make a final choice and continued to maintain secret relationships with both women simultaneously. Sometimes Will spent the whole night out in Michelle's company. At such moments, Anna was left alone in the apartment. She tried to contact Will by phone, but he ignored both calls and text messages. Anna tried to find Will through their mutual acquaintances, but they had no information about the man's whereabouts and his nightly plans. Will explained his absence to Anna by the large volume of work tasks, claiming that he had to work all night to fulfill urgent orders. Repkina gradually began to suspect deception, but Will's convincing excuses made her believe his words. The engagement ring that became Will's gift to Anna actually belonged to Michelle. Will deceptively told his fiancée that it was a family heirloom that his deceased grandmother once wore. On March 22, 2017, Anna posted a photo on social media depicting this ring. Michelle, upon seeing the photograph, immediately wrote to Repkina, openly admitting that Will also spent nights with her. Anna demanded honest explanations from Will about the situation. The man acknowledged the fact of his past relationship with the married Michelle Chavez but claimed that it was long ago and their relationship had already ended. Will characterized Michelle as a mentally unstable person and asked Anna not to pay attention to her. For some time, the women exchanged offensive messages on social networks and mutual accusations, but later their communication ceased. On March 25, Will Hargrove and Anna Repkina headed to the Oregon coast to hold a wedding ceremony. On the way, the engaged couple stopped by a Walmart shopping center. Will went to the store alone to purchase 2 wedding rings. Meanwhile, Anna waited in the car, dressed in a luxurious white wedding gown that she had brought from Russia. At the moment when Will was examining the goods at the jewelry counter, he was having a phone conversation with Michelle. They agreed to spend the evening together that same day. Will exited the supermarket, got into his car, and together with his bride and witnesses, set off for the beach where the wedding ceremony was to take place. However, upon arriving at the location, they discovered that there was neither an arch nor a priest there. The enraged Will began calling the organizers, trying to find out the reason for such unpreparedness. In reality, no wedding had been planned at all. Will had not made arrangements with anyone about organizing the ceremony or the presence of a priest, and he did not have a marriage certificate either. The saddened bride, who suspected nothing, received a promise from Will to fix everything and reschedule the wedding for another date. After that, the couple returned home. With the onset of April, Michelle gave Will an ultimatum. She no longer wanted to share him with Anna and demanded that he make a choice and choose only one of them. Will immediately replied that his choice was Michelle and promised to say goodbye to Anna forever by April 19. It is known that he asked Anna to vacate the apartment and leave several times, but the girl refused to part, still dreaming of a wedding and a family. Meanwhile, Will continued to secretly meet with Michelle and maintain an active correspondence with her. Michelle pressured the man, insisting on the quickest eviction of the Russian woman from the house. On the evening of April 15, Will sent Michelle a message, "I will fix everything. I will definitively resolve it all tomorrow." Easter Sunday, April 16, 2017. In the morning, Michelle went with her husband and children to visit her mother. She had spent a sleepless night, worrying about Will, who had suddenly stopped responding to her messages. That day, Will stayed at home. He received a call from the insurance company with a warning that if he did not make a car payment today, the vehicle would be seized. Not having money, the man tried to negotiate a 5-day payment deferral, but the insurance agent refused, citing the lack of authority to postpone the date. Around 5 in the evening, Michelle received a call from Will. Upset, he told her that he had almost hit a deer on the road, causing a flat tire, and asked for help, providing an address. Will was waiting for Michelle at a store in the small town of Elsie, Clatsop County, Oregon. The store's surveillance camera recorded him buying Pepsi, a chocolate bar, and a pack of cigarettes. About an hour later, Michelle arrived to meet Will. Parking her car near the store, she went inside and, upon seeing Will, immediately asked, "What happened? Where have you been? Why did you stop responding to my messages?" Will said that he had quarreled with Anna at night, saying rude things to her, after which she packed her belongings and left his rented apartment. Rejoicing at this news, Michelle got into Will's car. They drove a few hundred meters from the store, parked in a secluded spot, and had in the front seat. Afterward, Will drove his beloved to the store, from where she went back to her mother's house, where her entire family was celebrating Easter. Will also headed home. On the way, he stopped at a gas station with an ATM and withdrew $200 from Anna Repkina's card. While chatting with one of the gas station employees, the man even shed a few tears, complaining that his Russian girl had left him. After driving some more distance towards home, Will stopped again at a random ATM and, using Repkina's card, withdrew another $800 in cash. Around 9 in the evening, he deposited $160 into his account through an ATM and then called the insurance company to have the car payment deducted. The next day, on Monday, April 17, the dead body of 27-year-old Anna Repkina was found. She had been shot in the back of the head with a shotgun. Next to the girl's body, investigators found a bag of fast food trash, an empty can, a pack of cigarettes, candy wrappers, and a receipt from KFC. While the police were collecting evidence, Will was sending Anna text messages expressing concern about her whereabouts. "Just let me know you're safe," he wrote to Repkina. After that, Will began searching the internet for information about time travel, writing, "I need to find out how to go back. I need to fix a terrible mistake." He started sending messages to random people asking for advice. On April 16, "My best friend made a mistake. I want to go back so as not to lose the woman who should be my wife," he wrote to a stranger. Obviously, the man was in despair and even stated that he was ready to sell his soul for this. After a few hours of searching the internet, Will went to the store, where he spent most of the money withdrawn from Anna's card. He bought a box of chocolates, several video games, and a large Lego construction set. After that, Will sent a message to his close friend Kevin Thomas, "I spent a lot of money, but I shouldn't have. I'm actually just trying to distract myself." On Wednesday, April 19, detectives carefully examined the contents of the trash bag and were particularly interested in the KFC receipt with a time stamp. Although the receipt did not have the buyer's name, it had an order number. The officers visited KFC and learned that on Friday, April 14, a car with two men had pulled up to them and placed an order. One paid in cash, the other with a bank card in the name of Kevin Thomas. The police found the address of the card owner and visited his home. While talking to Kevin, they learned that on Fridays, he often spends time with his friend Will, and they usually stop by KFC. Kevin was called in for questioning at the police station. He told investigators that a few weeks ago, he had lent his friend Will a shotgun, which he supposedly wanted to use for shooting in the woods and letting off steam. Kevin noted that his friend had not yet returned the weapon to him. Having obtained this information, the police tracked down Will, who had moved back into Michelle's house. Will said that on Easter, April 16, he and Michelle had gone to Elsie, stopped at the store, made purchases, and then drove back home. When asked by the officer if he had thrown away any trash while there, Will answered affirmatively, noting that he had thrown it into a bin on the side of the store entrance. He precisely named every item that was in his trash bag. However, the investigators found this bag not in the bin, but in the bushes next to Anna Repkina's body. The police asked Will to ride with them to the station. On the way, the man sent Michelle a message, "I picked you up from your mom's, we went to the store in Elsie, and then I drove you back." When asked about Anna, Will said that he had met her on the street in the center of the city of Corvallis, where he was renting an apartment. According to him, he knew almost nothing about Anna, had seen her only twice in his life, inviting her on a date during which they simply walked around the city. Will claimed that he did not like the Russian woman, and already on the second meeting, he broke up with her, considering her crazy. According to him, he last saw Anna in mid-March. Allegedly, the psychopath Repkina had published a photo with a ring on Facebook and wrote that she was marrying an American, although he had never proposed to her. 26-year-old William Hargrove was arrested and charged with the murder of Anna Repkina. A few hours later, Michelle Chavez was called in for questioning. At first, the woman told a story similar to the one Will had asked her to tell in his last message. However, during the conversation, Michelle admitted that she had lied. In fact, after Will's call, she had come to him in her own car and then drove home herself. By the way, when Michelle was informed that Anna Repkina had been found murdered and Will was suspected, she was not at all surprised but only calmly said that this news saddened her. In 2018, Will was officially charged with the murder of the Russian woman. His defenders tried to present everything as if Michelle had pulled the trigger. And indeed, there were several strange moments. Anna's phone was found in Michelle's house. Michelle said that on the night before Will's arrest, he had given her this phone, and she did not know to whom it belonged. Michelle's cell phone data allowed establishing that exactly 1 month before the tragedy, the woman had visited the same place where Repkina's body was found. Michelle claimed that Will had driven her there himself. Now Will began to insist that he truly loved Anna, lived with her, and planned a wedding. But Michelle was jealous and wanted to get rid of her rival by any means. But the evidence spoke for itself. In Will's car was the same shotgun that he had borrowed from his friend Kevin. There were fingerprints of only one person on the weapon, Will Hargrove. At the time of the murder, Will's phone was in the same area where the body was later found. Michelle's phone was at her mother's house. Detectives carefully reviewed the surveillance camera footage from April 16 and noticed two small black spots on Will's head. The question arose, could it have been blood splatter? It is unknown what those dots were, but they appeared before Michelle arrived to meet Will. It is only known that these black dots were not birthmarks. In 2019, William Hargrove was found guilty of the murder of Anna Repkina, as well as the theft of money from the deceased's personal card. The man was sentenced to life imprisonment with the right to parole after 25 years. Michelle Chavez admitted that she had a hard time dealing with what had happened. She did not expect Will to act against her. Michelle even attempted suicide due to the criticism that came crashing down on her after this terrible story. In 2019, a memorial cross was erected at the site of Anna Repkina's death. Family and friends still remember Anna as a smart, kind girl who strived for happiness. Unfortunately, her life was cut short so suddenly and tragically. In 2023, Will's sentence was overturned on the basis of an incorrect search warrant and improper collection of some evidence. A new trial will begin in April 2025. I look forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. Until next time, friends.